Morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are from in the world. Welcome to DeversiFi's first AMA on a staging channel within the Discord. There may be some new people that are joining DeversiFi for the first time, so let's start with a quick introduction. Conrad, would you like to go first?
Yes, if I've unmuted myself, yeah, I think I did that successfully. So, hello everybody. I recognise some names from the previous AMO that we did and from the forum. Well, not really the forum, but Discord. But to everyone else, welcome. Glad to have you here. So, my name's Conrad. I'm the CTO here at DeversiFi. My background is predominantly in crypto. I've been doing something or other in crypto for the last 6 years, everything from mining and building my own miners to, as in the sort of software that actually does the mining, not just rigs, although building rigs is fun, to trading, building bots, working in market data, building dApps, all sorts of things really. But my sort of longer background is in traditional finance. Actually, I was in Reuters for a bit on trading and building distributed low latency systems. I did a stint in security software and even built a game or two in my time. So yeah, that's my background.
Wonderful to hear. Ross, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. One of the co-founders of DeversiFi. I'm responsible for more on the business development and finance side of things. Background is in oil and gas trading, and then previously Bitfinex and FNX. I'm really happy to be here.
Nice. And Maxime?
Hi, hi. I'm Maxime. So I'm a full stack software developer at DeversiFi. I started to get involved in crypto in 2014 as a miner. I was mainly mining LTC, and I went off and on and off in the space for a few years, but never really joined any serious project until 1 year ago when I joined DeversiFi, so I can finally contribute to the space. So I'm participating in building the newest features on the platform, and bridges, AMM, yield, probably more to come.
Brilliant. So before we get into the AMA, let's quickly summarise all the great things that's happened at DeversiFi since our last AMA, since it's been so long. So since our last AMA, we've had the inaugural test of the DLM with DeversiFi's very own governance token. This was a resounding success, and soon after we actually launched the governance mechanism, giving the power back to the community. We saw huge UI changes that drastically improved many users' experience, and recently we saw ERP's token launch on the DLM. So for the new people that are joining DeversiFi for the first time, let's start things off with a quick and easy question. Maxime, how would you quickly describe DeversiFi to newcomers in the Layer 2 DeFi space?
Oh wow, that's another one. I think there are multiple angles you can take. The one angle I like to take is DeversiFi is a way to today have a centralized exchange experience, but with the security guarantees and decentralization of layer 1 on Ethereum. I think the vision for the future is to add to that multiple features, so you can start actually doing like the fun things we today do in DeFi directly on the platform with a totally different UX from MetaMask TX signing, but also with like very negligible fees, like almost nothing. Yeah, I guess that's the way I could summarize it.
Nice. Oop, I'm muted. Nice, very nice summary. Anything to add, Ross or Conrad?
No, I was just going to say, add to that, I'd sum it up as it's your layer 2 control center, so doing all of the fun stuff that you can do on layer 1, all the benefits of DeFi, investing, trading, yield, swapping, launching, and all that sort of thing, but on layer 2, so you don't have to pay gas fees, and all from one convenient place where you can connect with your wallet. And also, we're becoming kind of the center of layer 2 with all of the bridges that we've launched and have got planned as well.
Brilliant. So a few quick warm-up questions. Why was the DLM such an innovative product, and what does it mean for new projects?
Oh, I'd love to talk about this, but this is Ross's baby, so
No,
I'll let him...
you go.
Well, the DLM's great because one of the things that is important to us is democratizing access to the DeFi space. It's one of the things that building on a platform that is not encumbered by gas costs allows us. It means you no longer have to have a massive bag willing to accept sort of multi-$100 gas fees in order to sort of participate in some of these opportunities. So the DLM was great because people could, without paying gas, buy and sell tokens. But I suppose on top of that, it was the fact that we had this fair launch mechanism. So rather than having a starting price and that we set ourselves, we pretty much had a time decay mechanism. It's kind of a bit technical, so I won't sort of go into the nitty-gritty unless there are some follow-up questions, but it provided a way for people to decide what the value of the token was themselves by watching the price decrease over time, and then when they thought it was a good price or if it was a bargain, they bought, and by buying it stabilized the price. If lots of people were buying, the price goes up, and it allowed the whole thing to reach a natural equilibrium. It was very much based upon the sort of bounce to launch pool sort of model, and again, because people could trade and buy our token and even sell the token without incurring gas costs, it led to quite a lot of organic price discovery behavior, which I thought was really quite cool to see. And indeed, we've replicated with another project, and with any luck, we'll do again in the future. But yeah, no, Ross, do tell us. Any time in the whenever we're talking or on a call, whenever the DLM gets brought up, there's always a sparkle in Ross's eyes. So yeah, take it away, Ross.
I absolutely love it, and I think adding to what you said, it's all about inclusivity. So it's amazing to see people being able to participate in token launches, DeFi token launches, no matter how much money they've got, whether it's a few dollars or a few $100,000. We're speaking to about a dozen teams at the moment who've expressed an interest in the DLM in one form or another. So hopefully some of those start coming through the pipeline over the next anything from kind of immediately all the way through for 6 months or so.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Let's get on to something a little more technical. We've had a few questions in the Discord about the latest votes in the governance mechanism and supplying liquidity above $10. What does this actually mean?
Yeah, really good question. It's kind of taken everyone by surprise, the price action over the past week, which has been amazing to see, but we weren't prepared for it. And so we optimized the liquidity that was raised by launching DVF in the DLM. We seeded 3 pools, two Uniswap pools actually, a Sushi pool and a DeversiFi market. One of those Uniswap pools was between, I think it was like 10 cents and $10. And the DeversiFi market was like sort of similar as well. So actually the liquidity above $10 isn't as good as it should be. So adding some single-sided liquidity to those markets should make sure that there's good liquidity up and beyond $10 as well. And obviously this is a short-term solution until we start building more liquidity through various mechanisms.
Brilliant explanation. So one last question from my end before we start opening the floor. Why introduce trading rewards to the platform, and what does this mean for users?
Yeah, so one of the things that should be launching next week is a reward program for traders. So if you trade on the platform, which a lot of people are doing and have been doing, you will be able to earn a share of a pot of DVF. So it's a way of rewarding people for using the platform, as well as other reward mechanisms that are coming up as well, which is pretty amazing because it's a way of distributing DVF to the people that use the platform the most, as well as all the other mechanisms that we've had and will have for distributing DVF, such as the DLM and other reward mechanisms as well, like airdrops, that sort of thing. So it's a way of incentivizing traders and regular users of the platform to use the platform to help us stress test it. They get a share of rewards, and it's a way of getting DVF into the hands of people who need to have it.
So let's go over to a question from Dolphin. What's DeversiFi's long-term vision regarding centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges? What position is it aiming for?
Yeah, I mean, our roots are pretty clear. We want to stay as open and permissionless as possible. We are at the very forefront of ZK rollup technology, we've been building with Starkware for over 2.5 years now. I think we were the first exchange, with the second exchange, ZK exchange to launch, the first with the Starkware technology. So we've been doing this a while, and we want to see DeversiFi and DeFi stay as open and permissionless as possible. There is obviously lots of regulatory changes coming up. There's the FAFET rules, and how those are implemented in various jurisdictions around the world, such as the EU, for example. So we're quietly hoping that there'll be some sort of carve-outs that mean that various DeFi protocols might be exempt, and but if not, then we'll have to make that decision whether we want to kind of stay more offshore and block certain jurisdictions potentially, or abide by whatever that new regime requirements are. One thing we could do is potentially to decentralize even more, and our plan is to decentralize as much as possible. So we're starting out with this new technology, building it, make sure it works, and then as it becomes stable and more mature, we can decentralize more. I think, Conrad, actually you've got quite a good kind of overview of the direction and how we could do that. Potentially maybe you want to jump in here and talk a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of long-term vision, I say long-term is a relative word in the space, because things somewhat change on a maybe not weekly basis, but certainly every few months there is seemingly another scaling solution available, with its various pros and cons. This year, seen a lot of great ones launching and sort of coming to prime time. Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon obviously has been around for a little bit, but is really sort of catching getting into its own stride. There's a lot of talk about Starknet, for example. These are all potential scaling solutions, but from a philosophical perspective, I am the kind of person that has a ledger in my pocket all the time, and I love this idea of trustless, permissionless systems that are governed by a set of rules, which are not incumbent or beholden to anyone to enforce. They are just rules of the system, that by participating in the system you have those guarantees. And I love that I can trade on DeversiFi or do whatever I want to on Diversified, but knowing that the ultimate authorization for that is based upon this hardware wallet that I have in my pocket, and generating that signature. I'm a huge fan. I very much believe that you need to eat your own dog food, as the expression goes. It's not the nicest expression, but I really like the essence that it captures, that if you're building something, it has to be something that you're excited to use yourself and fulfills a real niche. And in terms of the sort of direction for the future, it's very much continuing in that vein, making sure that we are decentralizing as much as possible, being community driven as much as possible through obviously discourse, and putting proposals there for community treasury, and building on top of tech that's going to enable us to do that in the most open way, and just be almost what's the word I was looking for? More the facilitator of some of these goals than the ones ultimately being in control of the system. That's how I'd say philosophically I'd like us to go over the next few years. And certainly we've started down this road by having a trustless, permissionless, self-custodial exchange, but there's a lot more that we can do in the future as this space matures and evolves.
Brilliant. Now we'll head over to Reddit for Zango Bright. Would you say the Diversified Decentralized Exchange could work as a replacement for someone using a centralized exchange?
I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis, and I actually have found myself not really using centralized exchanges for a while. I suppose the narrative a while back was centralized exchanges, well, they're so risky, you have to deposit your funds, and then it's sort of a bit of a black hole. You don't know what happens next. And I very much bought into that. And although we haven't seen the same sort of spate of hacks or rug pulls that we've seen in previous years with exchanges, sort of Mt. Gox was really sort of kicking off that many years ago, I think it's still a risk. And I think when it comes to what most people want, our sort of initial thesis when it came to building out DeversiFi was to almost create the sort of centralized experience in a decentralized way. That's what guided a lot of the sort of initial sort of design and product philosophy. And certainly in terms of one of the sort of functions of the platform, the trading function, the sort of advanced trading view with order books and sort of charts and everything else, I think we've achieved that. We have quite a few markets, obviously. We could have more, but we're have to evaluate each token on a case-by-case basis to make sure that we're not accidentally sort of participating in some sort of dodgy project. We make sure to do our due diligence on these things. But I'm sort of wandering now off on this topic. But I would simply say that I use our platform as a centralized exchange, or almost as an alternative to centralized exchange. I haven't used centralized exchanges for a while. I actually did log into a couple of exchanges today, just simply because I had some dust amounts of crypto sort of lingering on a few centralized exchanges, and it was funny for me, the experience, because I hadn't had that feeling of, well, I don't have control over this, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes for a while. So I ran back to the safety of our app quite quickly. But yeah, I would say there's no reason, provided that the markets you want are served, why anybody would choose a centralized exchange over a decentralized exchange, provided they were comfortable having the sort of responsibility of managing their own keys.
Yeah, I think maybe there's three things that you could argue are missing right now. So one is crypto tokens that aren't Ethereum based. The other is margin and derivatives trading, and the other is potentially you would only use a decentralized exchange if you're comfortable holding your own funds, and some people aren't. So provided you can get over that hurdle of holding your own funds, no reason not to use DeversiFi instead of your centralized exchange. In terms of assets that aren't on Ethereum, the technology that we use can be extended to other crypto, and it can work cross-chain. It's just not something that there's been a huge demand for up until this point, because up until even a few months ago, everything was basically on Ethereum. And actually, when we were starting out doing this, our big concern was that we wouldn't be able to get Bitcoin trading on the platform. And then, there's all these solutions that came out, of which Wrap Bitcoin seems to be the one that is really taken off. In terms of derivatives and margin, we could add that to the platform, but it would be probably a different area of the platform. It'd be a longer term project, it'd be a very big project. There'd be lots more regulatory risk. It's not really playing to our strengths and kind of the mission where we want to go right now, but it could happen in the future. So in terms of are we a replacement for a centralized exchange? Yes, if you like trading Ethereum tokens and you're comfortable holding your own funds.
Brilliant explanation. Thank you very much for that, guys. We'll go back to Discord. Guys, feel free to raise your hands if you want to ask a question live. Otherwise, I'll just go to the questions already asked in the channel. Go back to Trinity. Does DVF have plans to add more ways to earn layer 1 yield from the comfort to layer 2? Currently, it's just as compound USDT. What is the
I think here? Maxime, you're the man for this. That was your project. Where would you like to see yield going, and maybe some of the challenges that building it?
Yeah, we definitely would like to see more yield opportunities on DeversiFi, especially when the layer 1 yield can sometimes exceed some nice 10% or more. We have multiple views on different projects, but they will probably both require some layer 1 smart contract work to make the providing liquidity and removing liquidity more accurate on layer 2. So essentially, what we are doing in yield currently is we are providing liquidity to allow user to participate in L1 yield opportunities, and we are acting essentially as a proxy. And currently, we are able to do this with different markets and compound, although we have only one active yield opportunity today. And I think the goal in the future is to extend this to at least one or two more popular L1 protocols. But that's still a work in progress. But I think we definitely want to get there.
Nice, great answer. Question from On the Hedge. How is Snapshots able to peer into the murky depths of Diversifies layer 2 to see how much XDVF we have?
Yeah, so with Snapshot you can set up what they call them strategies. So you can connect it to various places. I think the way it works, Conrad, correct me if I'm wrong, is there's an API endpoint that picks up the balance for the address just for XDVF. Is that correct?
Yeah, sorry, I was doing the mute unmute dance. Yeah, exactly. So you have a few different strategies, and one of them is literally just an endpoint which can check for a particular address what the balance of X DDBF is. This is something that we actually use with a couple of integrations, so that you can use an API to access your balance. But this is a sort of opt-in API, so we're privacy by default. Everything is private, but if you choose to enable this functionality, then yeah, Snapshot can pick up the XDVF balance.
I think XDVF just gets pulled anyway, doesn't it? I believe. The idea being that you want to keep everything as much as possible on layer 2, so you don't need to take your DVF anywhere. You can just do everything on the layer 2.
Good question. Actually, need to double check that.
Nice. Do we have any more live questions before I keep going back to the channel? Feel free to raise your hand. No worries. Don't worry if you're too shy. I'm going to quickly answer this question because it's been asked many times. The airdrops are linked to all AMMs, and that is as much as we can say. Some other question from Bew. Since Darknet introduces composability between apps that run on layer 2, what will that mean for DVF, and what sort of timeline will that happen if you had to guess?
Yeah, definitely. Not sure, Conrad, maybe you could take this one, but otherwise I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah, so about Starknet, so this is an interesting one. So we're looking at Starknet at the moment, and we're looking to see at what point it makes sense to sort of move over, and then what the utility will be for the platform. It's kind of a longer discussion, to be honest. Being on Starknet would be great because then we get the composability rather than being sort of a single roll-up on L1, well, an L2 roll-up on L1. I wouldn't say that this is something we'd look at until sort of Q1 next year at the earliest. There are a few sort of technical reasons why we would sort of hold off doing any sort of migration onto Starknet at this stage.
Okay, let's go to Black Cat. Are there any more plans to bridge any more bridges for DeversiFi in the short term?
Yes, bridges is a key strategy, and Maxime, that's you're the bridge expert, the bridge builder.
Yeah, well, definitely more bridges on the roadmap. Some of them might come actually earlier than you think. Yeah, I think the Polygon bridge was a very nice addition because Polygon is a EVM compatible sidechain that allows to make transactions for almost for free, given the very low gas fees. So that's I think that solved an immense problem for users onboarding, because you are going to L2 to save on gas, but to actually onboard you needed 50 USD equivalent of gas, and you need to go through layer 1. And with bridges you can now do that using another chain, or maybe in the future other layer 2s. So I think the Polygon bridge was a really nice addition, and in the future I think we want to also support other Ethereum layer 2s, which themselves also benefit from Ethereum security but have more acceptable gas fees. So I think we are talking about optimistic rollups and ZK rollups in this case.
Nice. Quick question back to the DLM. Are there any more mechanisms or ideas to make the DLM more fair in the future?
Interested what the definition of fair is in this regard, because I think fair is a kind of a core component of what it is at the moment. But yeah, could you elaborate any more? Or?
Yes, this user said the entropy buyers got dumped immediately after.
Ah, right, okay. So that was because there was another smaller token sale at the same time, I think, on another network. So really, that's more of a kind of project. What do you call it? Project tokenomics thing. But in terms of the actual DLM itself, fairness is exactly what it is. You avoid fastest finger first. Everyone can participate on the same terms. The high starting price that decays discourages bots and people, participating too quickly. And if they do, they can always resell. And the fact that there's no gas means that anybody can participate. So I think fairness is definitely a core component. I think if we were to get more involved in the kind of token economic side, perhaps we might suggest to teams certain things, like that sort of thing that you said before. Learning curve for everyone. But there's lots of projects that we're talking to that are interested, and every project is different. Every project has got its own quirks and tokenomics and things that it wants to do. So it's always fun to talk to them.
I think this is the final question related to the DLM. But what are our plans for the launch market, as it's looking silent now? Will we use it in Starknet?
I'm not sure about Starknet, but plans are, so there'll be a specific product page. So at the moment we've had two, and two's enough to make a specific page on the website, which is kind of hey everyone, this is what the DLM is, this is how it works, these are the ones that have come before, and then we can turn that into more of a standalone product that people can come and see and investigate, and you'll be able to chat back to see when the next DLM is, etc. So really excited to get that up and running, and the guys have already got designs, and that's being built as we speak.
Brilliant. Sorry, just lost the questions. Is there a plan to add margin trading to the platform from Adele 15?
Yeah, I think we covered this a little bit, and it was a good question in the forum yesterday as well. So the summary is no plans right now. Could do if we wanted to, but it would be a big project and it would involve a lot of regulatory risk. If you have derivatives or margin products on your platform, those are regulated products in most jurisdictions. So you need to be very, very careful. And really, you should be kind of KYCing, or you should be decentralizing to the point where you're not you're not involved in the product at all. So we need to go one of those ways. But the focus is becoming your layer 2 hub for physical token trading. So doing all the stuff that you would do on chain with physical tokens, swapping, sending, transfers, investing, all in one place. And then once we've got that and that's fleshed out, then we can maybe investigate some other bits. One thing, sorry, just to add on that is, for example, an easier sort of interim solution would be adding margin tokens to the platform, but that in itself is a bit risky as well, not for regulatory reasons but for users, because these tokens actually don't behave in the way that you think they should, and there was quite a lot of backlash with them last year, if anyone remembers, the sort of Binance controversy, and all these tokens work in different ways, and they're collateralized in different ways. So that in itself is more of a kind of UX challenge. The last thing you want to do is put them in front of people buy them, not realizing what they're buying, and then they don't behave as the way they should. But that would be a quicker, easier solution.
Nice. We only have a few more questions left. If you guys want to chime in at any point, feel free to raise your hand. The option is still there. A question from this will be hard to pronounce, but Burkantuken. Very sorry if I've butchered your name. Which feature of DeversiFi should we encourage to talk about more to people around us, and what part of the project do we trust the most?
So I reckon we would all say our own favourite bit of the platform. I think that'd be quite fun, because everyone I speak to at DeversiFi has got their own thing that they use more. For me, the thing that I'm most proud of is actually the aggregated order books. We aggregate liquidity not from just DeFi, but from also centralized exchanges. So if you go on Ethereum or the Bitcoin markets, it's the most liquid market in DeFi, in terms of you could probably do up to $500,000 of trading in one go, and there'd be barely any slippage. I'm not sure that gets talked about enough, but yeah, I think it's a pretty amazing feature for anyone who trades a lot. And adding the swap feature on top of that, it just means that the swap feature is really, really powerful. And technically building it, Conrad can say, it was a big challenge, and it's taken a year and a half to get right. but that's the feature that I'm most proud of.
No, absolutely, and my trader background very much sort of sort of echoes that sentiment. For me, the part that I use the most is trading, but also rather than just taking advantage of this liquidity, I like to. So I've got my own bot, and what I do is I sort of do some pricing analysis, and then spend a lot of time sort of placing orders and then executing, being a bit of a market maker. And I just love the fact that I can continue to do this with a really deep book without paying the sort of economic cost of interacting with an L1 blockchain. So that's my key thing.
Brilliant. What about you, Maxime? What's your favourite thing about DeversiFi that everyone should tell their friends about?
Well, the features I am using the most currently is trading, because I like to have a choice of using a centralized exchange or decentralized exchange. I do have accounts on centralized exchanges, but yeah, I have different, like pretty much my ERC20 tokens, and I trade them on DeversiFi rather than centralized exchange. So I think, to me, the notion of having a choice to have the same experience but in a decentralized way is important. And I think if it was there, like if there was like more yield options, that would actually be the second features I would be using the most on DeversiFi. Which I can only blame myself, and I can start building it.
Very good. I think the thing that I'm really excited about is the AMMs, because I think the AMMs bring everything together. If you've been in the Diversified Discord for the past 6 months, you know that we've been kind of building a lot around the edges, I'd say, in terms of improving the UX. We've been kind of solving some of the problems that the industry's faced purely because things have changed so quickly in the past year and a half. Like when we first launched this, like gas prices on chain were like 10 Gwei. Like you could deposit to DeversiFi for $1. We've had to build bridges and improvements to the smart contracts, because of all the stuff that's happened. But launching AMAs as well as one or two more bridges really then does make DeversiFi the center of your DeFi world. So you can come to DeversiFi, you can trade all the tokens that you want to, you can move your funds to Polygon and different places, centralized exchanges. You can do everything that you want without risking your funds. You always stay in control. So I think having AMMs will really be like a nice, like the final bit of the puzzle, which kind of brings everything together and really makes kind of DeversiFi like a real powerhouse.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the thing that's been sort of causing a lot of sleepless nights in the last month for me is just all the work that's been going into the AMMs to get them ready. It's a really exciting thing that we've been talking about increasingly over the last few weeks. I think at the point at which we have sort of blended order books and AMM will be an absolutely killer feature, enabling users to trade pretty much anything, but with the benefit of obviously getting LP rewards and everything else.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, just to summarise, most of the amazing points have been taken, but one of my favourite features is actually the Polygon bridge. Just moving funds on and off a chain for paying the minimal fees is just such a handy feature, especially when gas prices have been soaring recently. And quite a lot of people, well, I've had a fair few messages in Discord, and a few people obviously still have their funds on a centralized exchange, and they want to move to DeversiFi, but without paying the gas fees. So if you are listening, my recommendation would be to withdraw in a stable coin, but on the Polygon network. And then once it's in your Polygon wallet, you can just simply deposit onto DeversiFi without ever having to touch Ethereum layer 1 fees.
It's pretty epic. I tell you something as well. Really looking forward to building on the all the fast withdrawal stuff that we've got as well, because at the moment we quite often hit into like upper limits for the fast withdrawal pools. It happens quite a lot. You get flurries of activity, and then all of a sudden everyone wants to withdraw ETH or everyone wants to withdraw USDC. But having the ability to increase the value of those pools temporarily or longer term, I think would be really powerful, because imagine if you could go from Polygon, you deposit to DeversiFi, you can trade and swap all you want, and then if you need to, you can withdraw back to layer 1 in size, quickly without paying a crazy gas fee. I think that'd be amazing.
Definitely. We have a few more questions before we wrap it up. Do we plan on upgrading the way order history is presented on the DEX? It is a point of confusion for this user personally.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of ways that order history can be improved. So so it's available in a couple of different ways. So first of all, on the trading widget, you see the orders we have under the portfolio view. Sorry, not under the portfolio view, under history. You have all the fills from the individual orders broken down, and you have other things like transfers and deposits and withdrawals. So one of the key things we need to actually do to improve that is combine all the fills so it's obvious what order they relate to, and just provide a slightly sort of more unified way of visualizing this. So if anything, we've been too granular and too detailed about what happens on the platform, and I think that's led to a little bit of confusion. That's certainly some feedback that I've heard once or twice before, and something that we should improve.
And maybe the long-awaited stop loss orders as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Definitely, and if you guys have any more feedback on small UI improvements or general improvements at all, feel free to either reach out to me in the Discord or send your feedback in the feedback suggestions channel of the Discord, because the only way we can make the protocol better is if you suggest it. So
just a point on that, actually, like the feedback is absolutely incredible. I don't want anyone to think that we're not listening and looking. We catalog all of it and put it into the product team's view, and they go through that, because actually there was a bit of a missing link between what people were saying and it getting into the product. But now that whole operations and process has improved. We've brought on a designer who's ex-Facebook and ex-Apple, who's really, really good. We've got a project manager, and we've got someone new joining the product team as well. So that whole feedback loop is just really improving now.
Definitely, and just to final on that, I think a perfect example of that was when some users were having issue with, or a bit of confusion, when they were choosing the assets, but the bridge wasn't properly displayed right after. So we relayed this back to the team, and within 24 hours we actually got that fixed, and there was quite a few good comments noting on how quick it was to turn around. So if you do have any kind of feedback, we do pay attention, we do listen, and it will be implemented, hopefully.
Definitely, and the whole kind of team is focused on AMMs at the moment, but as we've already kind of said in the Discord, there's lots of little housekeeping bits and things that are waiting after the AMMs are launched. So lots is going to get done over the next couple of months. For
sure.
And just to add to that, everything is like a progressive journey, right? I mean, if you design something that is absolutely fully fledged and absolutely immaculate right from the start, I mean, first of all, you run the risk of making invalid assumptions about how people are going to use things. And secondly, it's very difficult to reach that point anyway. So the approach that we took is get to the sort of 80% mark, build something, and then iterate, constantly evolve. And I guess a lot of companies have taken a similar approach and gotten a bit of stick for this. Microsoft with Windows 10 being in a perpetual state of evolution in terms of the user interface was sort of the most noteworthy thing. But for us, listening to that feedback is really important, because we need to validate the assumptions that we're making when we're building things. And if we discover that actually people don't use something in the way that we expected them to, or something is confusing, then that is really valuable. And as mentioned, that does go into a feedback backlog, and we do look to change things. So any feedback is incredibly important. We love our users and we love the feedback. Keep it coming.
Brilliant. So I'm going to close the option to submit your questions now, and we have about 5 more questions, and then we'll quickly wrap things up. Can we explain how the Polygon bridge works with minimum fees? It's interesting as this is possible with a minimum fee. Will this bridge fee be changed in the future?
It works by magic, and perhaps Maxime can explain said magic.
Yeah, sure. So I guess essentially in the space, when you have L2 and L1 bridge, you have like two types of bridges. You have like the native bridges and the and liquidity bridges. And so when you use native bridges, you will essentially burn tokens on L2 and it will mint tokens on L1 for withdrawal. That is like managed differently depending on the type of L2 and the type of L1. Usually there is a delay. So in the case of DeversiFi, when you perform a regular withdrawal, you have to wait for the L2 to sync with Ethereum L1 before you can actually receive your funds. And with liquidity bridges, that's slightly different because you actually perform two orders. So you perform Alice to Bob on L2 and Bob to Alice on L1 with the same amount. So the good thing about this is like it's nearly instant. You simply exchange tokens on L2 and do the reverse exchange on the like target L1. And the inconvenience for this is it's assumed that you get liquidity on both sides of a bridge. So in the case of a Polygon bridge, why is it cheaper? First, the average transaction cost on Polygon is less than 1 cent. So this is like our main cost. This is the native L1 transaction cost. So on Ethereum, it's like maybe $50, and Polygon, it's less than 1 cent. The cost for us is that we have to maintain liquidity on Polygon and on the L2 for users to be able to move their funds through the bridge. I guess my explanation is a little bit flaky, but essentially native bridges is the most natural way, but it involves more cost and a delay. And liquidity bridges, which is a popular solution also in the DeFi space for L2 to L2 transfers, involve that you have liquidity on both sides, but is vertically cheaper and faster.
Brilliant. So just to wrap up with one final question. Ross, you mentioned earlier that the Uni V3 pool for DVF tops out at $20. What does it mean for liquidity once price pushes beyond that?
Yes, so there isn't any liquidity above $20, which is why we want to add a new liquidity position and add to what we've already got on DeversiFi as well. So that's the governance vote going through at the moment, which has been brilliant. Everyone that's voted in that. If you're holding XDVF earlier, please go vote on that proposal, and then we can get some more liquidity ranging from 0 to 30 and beyond.
Brilliant. That's all for today, folks. Thank you all for tuning in. This AMA has been recorded, so if you'd like to watch it on YouTube to rejig your memory, it will be uploaded shortly. If we didn't get around to answering your questions, I will have a quick scan through and I will be sure to go through all of them and make sure all of your questions have been answered. A huge thank you from everyone here at DeversiFi, and I'll let you guys finish up.
That's great. Thank you, everyone, for attending and for being part of the community. And I will speak to you all on Discord.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.